Let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. I am a stand for love. Let there be joy. I am a stand for joy. We are making a new world now. We are making a new world now.
Thank you. Thank you, Stephen Mirabai. Good morning, everyone. I am the Reverend Carla Cometer, and with me today are our guest musicians, Stephen Mirabai Bangs, also known as Heart Dream. We always look forward to when they are with us and bless us with their beautiful, beautiful music. Unity Spiritual Community is a place where all people are welcome and where differences are celebrated as the splendor of God's creative expression. Today is January the 31st, 2021, and the word for today is now. I find my power in this very moment. There is power in this very moment. Yesterday is past, and tomorrow is not yet here. There is only this moment, ripe with promise and potential, ready for me to live into it fully. Through my many divine gifts, everything I need to get started is within me. I need not wait for the perfect moment to arrive, because there is no time more perfect than now, and no place more perfect than here. Procrastination has no place in my life. I fritter away my energy when I find reasons not to get started, losing my zeal and focus and inviting frustration into my life. Today, I claim the power of the present and say, this is the day I begin. Now is the time to begin, to serve, to forgive, and to love. And from 2 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 2, we read, see, now is the acceptable time. And the word for today is now. Our Sunday featurette this morning is called Spellbound. And it's inspired by The Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness. The Discovery of Witches is a trilogy of books about witches, demons, and vampires. It has been made into a mini-series, and season 2 began this month. Now, books of this genre are not usually my choice of fiction, but this became highly recommended. Diana Bishop, the heroine, is a witch. She is also a brilliant academician and a visiting scholar at Oxford University in England. In the opening chapter, she visits the Bodleian Library at Oxford to do some research. There it is. And much of the plot has to do with a book of magic that keeps disappearing. Well, I was hooked. I was just hooked. I have a lifelong love affair with libraries and books, and I just wouldn't let a few vampires or demons stand in my way. Diana Bishop considers herself to be a very weak witch. Her attempts at spells are generally unsuccessful. though occasionally she will surprise herself and demonstrate her powers in unexpected ways. She has recurring dreams about being wrapped in cobwebs like a cocoon. And later, we learn that her father put a binding spell on her when she was a child. Her parents recognized that Diana was a truly gifted witch and put this spell on her for her own protection. It prevented her from recognizing or expressing her magic because they believed she was at risk from enemies. As you can well imagine, much of this story is about Diana learning the truth about her powers and expressing her authentic self in the world. And this is when we leave Diana for the purpose of our featurette. There is a reason that the discovery of witches has so many fans, and why Diana Bishop is such a compelling character. It's because we too have been spellbound. From the time we were children, we were taught that we don't really have power, that we are not magic, and most importantly, that we are not divine. We were bound by our parents, our teachers, churches, schools, and the media, and we have accepted a self-definition that does not reflect our authentic selves. You see in this slide that the parents are in chains and they are extending the chains to their child. The beliefs that bind us are held in race consciousness. Those who pass them on to us actually believe in them themselves. And there is a reason why we ended up in such a predicament. It all began in the Garden of Eden, when the first humans were selecting the beliefs that they ingested, beliefs symbolized by the fruits of the fields and the trees, beliefs which humans absorbed in order to create a mass reality. God told them that they could eat from any tree except one. Don't eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. God told them that if they ate from this tree, they would die. But as you know, they ate from it anyway. And thus was born the belief in separation, that some things were of God and some things were not. Some things were good and some things were evil. The belief in duality, the first binding spell, the original sin. And somehow the concept of sin became associated with evil and with Eve deliberately disobeying God. We've been taught through the ages that we are bad because we are sinners. And from this original sin, all other errors in thinking sprung into being. Yet, the word sin has a completely different origin. It was originally a term used in archery, and it meant missing the mark. When an arrow did not hit the target, it was called a sin. This is similar to golf. When a hole takes one stroke over par, it is called a bogey. When we eliminate the erroneous concept of duality, We learn that we can be wrong, we can make mistakes, but we cannot be bad. We cannot be evil. As long as the belief in separation exists in race consciousness, it veils our perception of reality and perpetuates our inability to see ourselves or the world clearly. We read in 1 Corinthians that now we see in a glass dimly, but then when we have awakened from our dream of separation, we shall see clearly as we shall be clearly seen. One of my favorite quotes is from Keep It Trueland by Charles Fillmore. It reads this way: "The whole race was caught in the meshes of its own thought, and through drowsy ignorance would have remained there had not a break been made in the structure and the light of a higher way let in." Then Mr. Fillmore continues, "If you were held in the meshes of a great spider web and someone made a hole through which you could pass, you would go where that hole was and would make your escape that way. Jesus made this aperture in the race thought and thus threw open wide the door into the spiritual realm." Jesus said he came so that we could have life and have it abundantly. He said that we would do all the things that he did and even more. We could perform miracles and they looked like magic. He came to show us the way out of the web of illusion caused by our error thinking. Jesus was not the only prophet, not the only Messiah to bring us the truth. Unity recognizes the divinity of all people and teaches that all paths lead to the same God. We share these powerful teachings of Jesus from the Judeo-Christian scriptures, knowing that God's infinite goodness provides an abundance of resources for the peoples of the world to learn these same lessons. There were two trees in the Garden of Eden. When God learned that Adam and Eve had eaten from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, he drove them out of the garden before they could eat from the tree of life. And if they had eaten from the tree of life, they would have lived forever in their separated state. The Bible is a complete story, and it has a happy ending. At the end of the very last book, the book of Revelation, the tree of life makes a reappearance, and we learn that humans, through their overcoming of false beliefs, finally do eat from the tree of life. So in closing, back to Diana Bishop. She serves as an archetype of the spellbound human. Humans who are not aware of their power and their divinity. Like Diana, we have the task of awakening to the truth of ourselves and overcoming our dream of separation so that we express our authentic selves and usher in the kingdom of God. And thus ends the featurette. And now we're going to welcome Heart Dream back to serenade us with another song.
is only one of us. In your eyes it's me I see. There is only one of us. You are my reflection. There is only one. There is only one of us. In your eyes it's me I see. There is only one of us. You are my reflection. There is only one. There is only one of us. In your eyes it's me I see. There is only one of us. You are my reflection. There is only one. You are my reflection. There is only one.
Thank you, Heart Dream. Thank you, Steve and Mirabai. Each week, we take time to bless our prayer requests. You may submit a prayer request to our prayer chaplains through our email address or leave us a voicemail, or you can just talk to them when they make their wellness calls. And know that every prayer request we receive is forwarded to Silent Unity, and it's held there in continuous prayer for an additional 30 days. We support Silent Unity with our church tithe. I'm going to share a letter that we received from them recently. Dear friends, we share a special bond with you, our beloved friends in Unity churches, and you bring us such joy. We trust that you feel blessed by this strong spiritual bond and that you feel our prayers of peace and love enfolding you and everyone you hold in your hearts. Sharing inspiring words, music, and ideas are activities that help bond people together. As you participate in these activities, we know that you touch many lives, just as you have touched ours. Blessing our work with a donation is truly an act of love. Thank you for thinking of us and for demonstrating your love in such a special way. We bless your ministry and the good work you do within your community. May you always feel the spiritual bond that unites us, and know we support you with our prayers and our love. You may call or email Silent Unity directly when you have a prayer request, and that too will be held in continuous prayer for 30 days. And so let's prepare now for a time of meditation. We relax and take a couple of deep breaths. As we enter this meditative state, we affirm that we are one in spirit. And this day, our prayer is that our unity with all life be recognized. We allow ourselves to feel love, for love is the very fabric of life on earth. when we release limiting beliefs, beliefs that any person is less than, beliefs that we ourselves are ever less than. When we release these beliefs, we find that love has always been present, needing only to be revealed, to be allowed. The differences between people, be it race or nationality, be it lifestyle or worldview, the differences are inconsequential when compared to the similarities. We are all God's children, many hues in a rainbow of light, many notes in the symphony of life, the whole made richer by the contrast of its parts. We allow ourselves to love in the face of hate, to resist any lapse into small-mindedness. We allow our spirits to soar into the greatness that is our birthright. And from these lofty heights, we see the world as God sees it, a myriad of shimmering light, each facet playing off the other, each made more brilliant by reflection. Let us take a few moments in the silence to enjoy the beauty of this image. We know that there are things in the history of our world that have brought pain. We know that there are things we cannot understand. But we remain steadfast in these truths, that God is always present, that hope has never died, that there has been a reason for this suffering, that we can heal our lives and our world. We ask to be guided as we commit to being part of the solution. We ask for an ever-present awareness of God as we make each decision, as we respond in each interaction. We commit to holding the high watch. We commit to establishing peace in our lives and in our world. And so it is. Amen.
Wake up and see the light. Oh, in times we all live in, then you'll see love's light inside your heart. With your love, bless all with grace. Pour it in each divine soul. Then you'll hear joy's song inside your heart. Together we'll work in peace. For love for everyone, in love and grows higher, higher than your mind. Then love grows higher, higher than your mind. Then love grows higher, higher than your mind.
Thank you. Thank you, Heart Dreams. So beautiful. Adds so much to the service. Today, in our lesson, we are discussing a season for nonviolence. I'm going to share some of the history that is associated with this annual honoring of some of our heroes. A season for nonviolence was established in 1998. It was a joint effort between Arun Gandhi, who was the grandson of Mahatma Gandhi, and Arun's wife, Sunanda, and the Association for Global New Thought. It was launched annually at the United Nations. The season for nonviolence lasts 64 days. It begins on January the 30th, which is the date of Mahatma Gandhi's assassination, and ends on April the 4th, which is the date that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated. Mahatma was his title. His name was Mohandas Gandhi, was born October the 2nd, 1869. He was the son of a prime minister of one of India's states, and he went to law school in England. He began practicing nonviolent protest as a political tool in the early 1900s in South Africa. Many Indians lived and worked in South Africa. Gandhi led the Indian community in mass refusal when the South African government wanted to require every Indian to carry an identification pass. The primary tools of nonviolent protest are boycotts and fasting. Gandhi returned to India in 1914 and became immersed in India's struggle for independence from the British, which was finally achieved in 1947. He was involved in a movement for peace between the Indian Muslims and the Indian Hindus, and was assassinated by a Hindu fanatic on January the 30th, 1948. Gandhi is quoted as saying, "We must be the change we wish to see." Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was born on January the 15th, 1929. He was an ordained minister and was awarded his doctorate in 1955. In his career as a civil rights activist, Dr. King traveled over 6 million miles. He spoke over 2,500 times, wrote 5 books and many articles. He was arrested over 25 times, assaulted at least 4 times, awarded 5 honorary degrees, and was named Man of the Year by Time magazine in 1963. At the age of 35, he was the youngest man to receive the Nobel Peace Prize, and he gave the award of over $54,000 to forward the civil rights movement. He was assassinated on April the 4th, 1968. And one of our favorite quotes from Dr. King is, "Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that." Especially in California, the season for nonviolence includes honoring Cesar Chavez. Chavez was a Mexican-American born on March the 31st, 1927, and he died on April the 23rd, 1993. He was a labor leader who used nonviolent methods to fight for the rights of migrant farm workers in the southwestern United States. Chavez founded a group that advocates for the rights of farm workers. He also organized strikes and nationwide boycotts of agricultural products. Chavez went on many hunger strikes, refusing to eat until violence against strikers ended and until legislators voted to make laws improving the lives of farm workers. He was jailed many times. He died of natural causes at the age of 66, though it is believed that his death was in some ways the result of his hunger strikes. In 1994, Chavez was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom posthumously. His motto was "Si se puede." It means, yes, it can be done. And he proved it to be true. His work changed the lives of millions of people for the better. I am a baby boomer. I am part of the population bulge that occurred when all the soldiers came home from World War II. I was in the 8th grade when John Kennedy was assassinated. Martin Luther King and Robert Kennedy were both assassinated in 1968, which was the year I graduated from high school. This was the era of the Vietnam War and the draft. And we wondered, where are our heroes? What craziness and persecution are we subjected to in this land of the free? How can this generation heal from such a violent initiation into adulthood? There have been differing ideas about the role of social activism in the unity movement. Unity was founded on prayer and meditation. We believe that as we heal ourselves, we heal the world. We know that the cause of violence is the same, whether it's minor in our daily lives or on a global level. The cause is the belief in separation from God. We teach, as Charles Fillmore used to say, go to headquarters. Like Unity's belief about doctors and healing, go to God first, then go to man as God directs. Become more socially active if you have gone to God first and are directed to do so by God. Violence begins within. The definition of violence is any behavior that lessens the recognition of divinity in self or others. Any behavior that is not life-affirming. Most of the violence that we experience in our daily lives, whether toward ourselves or others, is the result of pent-up frustrations and anger. There are subtle forms of violence. I remember overhearing one of my friends on the phone calling somebody a klutz. That's a subtle form of violence. Consider what we may be saying to ourselves when we look in the mirror. Those are subtle forms of violence toward ourselves. And violence toward ourselves is sometimes expressed as violence toward others, or depression, or destructive habits. And there are ways to release this negativity. These ways include releasing the past, forgiving yourself and others, being non-judgmental, releasing control. And to do this, come into a fuller understanding of the truth of your being. And lifestyle changes will naturally follow. Changes such as choosing companions who are life-affirming. Use prayer and meditation to come into that understanding and learn to stay in touch with your feelings and not let them build up. We strive to develop a tolerance for other people. We don't expect people to be what they are not. Don't expect all people to be alike or to be good at the same things. Just love them anyway. Know that when we are in conflict, sometimes we are the most indignant when there is a grain of truth to the criticism we receive. And I have an example of this. I call this story from my own life, the story of Chuck and the cats. In 1999, I moved into a duplex in Lee's Summit, Missouri. And the landlord hesitated, but finally agreed to let me move in with my 2 dogs. However, it was in the lease that I could not have any cats. After a couple of years, one summer, 2 cats showed up at my doorstep, needing a home. And I took them in. Now, I remember the day that I told the landlord I had taken the cats in. I remember making this decision. I remember comparing myself to Gandhi and to Mother Teresa. Would I lie? Would I lie to my landlord about having cats, or would I live a life of purity and honesty? I still doubt the wisdom of that decision, by the way. So I told Chuck that I had cats, and he evicted me. And he gave me a certain number of weeks to find a different place to live. And I was indignant. I moved into major drama. I acted out like Sidney Whiplash and Darling Clementine, when Sidney Whiplash would say, "You must not have cats," and Darling Clementine would say, "But I must have cats," and they'd tie her on the railroad tracks and she'd get run over by the train. And This went on for several weeks, and I involved all kinds of people in it until one morning, in the clear light of dawn, which is when I do my best thinking, I realized I was culpable. I was in the wrong. I had signed a lease that said I would not have cats, and then I took in cats. And all of my drama and all of my indignation and all of the bad things I thought about this landlord were things I made up. He was in his right to do what he did. And it was a big step forward for me to admit my culpability. I think it is a big step forward whenever we can admit that we were wrong and not condemn ourselves. Just take the right corrective action, like I moved with my cats and my dogs, and carry on, hopefully remembering this for future decisions. We also learn how to handle really big things, bigger than Chuck and the cats, things like child abuse. It seems in our society to be okay to condemn the abuser. Yet the abuser is a person too. And that person was most likely also an abused child. This is what it means in the Bible when it says your sins will pass down unto the seventh generation. People can only do to another what they believe can be done to them. Our hearts need to go to the children and the abusers, for both are acting out of pain. And applying this same reasoning to cruelty to animals is the only way I have been able to make peace with some of the things I've been upset about. The same thing holds. The abuser and the abused are both in pain. So I want to close by sharing Unity's Peace Pledge. This came out several years ago in connection with Season for Nonviolence. Unity stands for peace in the presence of conflict, for love in the presence of hatred, for forgiveness in the presence of injury. Unity honors the many names for God, the many paths to God, the many ways to worship God. For there is only one power and presence of God, and that God loves each of us equally. It is therefore the position of Unity Worldwide Ministries and Unity World Headquarters to urge all nations, their leaders and their people, to turn to God by whatever the name for guidance during these challenging times and pursue peace, not war. For this is what honors the God of all our faith traditions. Unity stands for peace in our lifetime. And thus ends the lesson. God bless you.
Give me love, give me love, give me peace on earth. Give me life, keep me free from birth. Give me hope, help me cope with this heavy load. Trying to touch and reach you with heart and soul. Oh. Give me life, keep me free from birth. Give me hope, help me cope with this heavy load. Trying to touch and reach you with heart and soul. Take hold of my hand, that I might understand. Won't you please, oh won't you give me love, give me peace on earth. Give me life, keep me free from birth. Give me hope, help me cope with this heavy load. Trying to touch and reach you with heart and soul.
Thank you, Heart Dream. One of the things I'm most proud of for Unity Spiritual Community is the quality of our music. For a rather small church, we have all professional musicians. Lisa Lawson, our Minister of Music, is a career musician, and our guest musicians like Heart Dream today are all professions. And the quality of music that we provide is just wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we're preparing for our love offering. Here's the information. You are a vital part of this spiritual community. And it is through your support that we are able to provide our services. We thank you for your ongoing donations and ask that you continue them on a regular basis so we can predict our cash flow and know what to budget. You can mail checks to our post office box here in Citrus Heights, or you can, on our website or our newsletters, click the donate button and you can use PayPal from there. By the way, you do not have to have a PayPal account to use PayPal. You can use it and just key in your card information when you do for like a one-time payment. And we thank you. And we know that you should thank each other because you are providing this community for each other. Thank you, one and all. So let us take a moment to bless our offerings, knowing that divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I choose to give, and all that I am open to receive. Thank you, God, and amen. We have some announcements today. They're kind of exciting, actually, because, you know, it's almost a year now that we have been online. And our bylaws say that we have an annual membership meeting every February. So this past Friday, we had a meeting of our Board of Trustees and decided that we would have our annual membership meeting on the last Sunday of February, on the 28th. And it would be after the service, like when we normally have our stay and chat. So those of you who are interested in attending should sign on Zoom that day and then just stay after the service and you can participate. Well, one of the things that happens around this time of year is that we give people the opportunity to become members of the church. And it may not be clear to newcomers, but there is a difference in just attending the church regularly and joining the church as a member. And the difference comes into play in several ways. First, rest assured that it does not commit you to any particular financial support. That's not what this is about. It gives you the right to vote at the annual meeting because that's a membership meeting. And we elect new members to the Board of Trustees. Some years we have new bylaws that need to be voted in, major decisions about property or moving. Those all come up for members to vote on. But I think maybe the important thing about being a member is making that commitment in your mind causes a shift. It causes a shift in your own spirituality. It's like you have proclaimed your intent that your spirituality is an important part of your life, and it will grow as a result. It also helps you bond with the other people in the church because most of the people that you see during the stay and chat are members. So if you would like more information about becoming a member, there is our email address on the screen. Just let us know and we'll be glad to send it to you. If we are going to have new members, we will hold a one-time new member class and then have a new member induction before the annual meeting so that you'll be able to vote then. All right. We'll remind you of this again next week, but do let us know and we'll be glad to provide you with the next step. Our next announcement is this coming Wednesday is the last time that newcomers can join the Artist's Way class. Traditionally, the Artist's Way is closed after the second session. Newcomers can come the first or second class. We held it open longer than that because of the unusual circumstances that we have being online for churches this season, shall we say, and wanting it to be easy for people to get the message and contact us. So if you have not yet attended the Artist's Way class and you would like to, please do this coming Wednesday on the 3rd, because when we close the class, what happens is that the students who are still part of it have the ability to become a community and build a trust level because they know each other. And sometimes in the Artist's Way, we share things that make us feel vulnerable. So building that trust and that community is an important part of what the Artist's Way has to offer. Our next announcement. So many of us during our autumn journey last fall, when we had a 7-week class, really enjoyed the weekly meditation that was part of that class. So we've decided to have it once a month. We may change this later, but we're going to have our Wednesday night class through the end of March, and then Lisa's going to start a Wednesday night class. So we decided on the first Friday of each month, we would have a meditation very similar to the ones that we did during the autumn journey. There'd be a guided meditation, a different style every week, progressive relaxation, chakras, music. I have scheduled it from 7 to 7:45 p.m. on Friday. I think 45 minutes will be more than enough time. And we'll do it just for a love offering. So that will begin this next Friday on February the 5th, and you are all invited to attend. Then the only other thing we have to share is a reminder that after the service today, those people who are with us on Zoom are invited to stay and chat So we have a weekly check-in that is a very enjoyable part of our service. Thank you, everyone. And now we're going to invite Steve and Mirabai to lead us in the peace song.
1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. Weave us together, weave us together in unity and love. Weave us together, weave us together in unity and love. There be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, a peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
And now for our prayer of protection, we know that the light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The presence of God watches over us. The power of God protects us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. God bless you all. Have a wonderful week.
Give me love, give me love, give me peace on earth. Give me life, give me life, keep me free from birth. Give me hope, help me cope with this heavy load, trying to touch and reach you with heart and soul. Take hold of my hand, that I might understand. Won't you please, oh